Welcome to CoH2 to another CoH2 replay cast. It's gonna be between Earth, who sent it in, of course, playing as Wehrmacht, against Crazy Hamster, playing as the USF. So CoH2 CoH2 is a pretty popular 1v1 map. There's, a very dangerous cutoff on both ends, both over here and over here. Though on the eastern side, the cutoff is a little bit more exposed, both approaching it and defending it, whereas on the other side it's a little bit more out of the way. So it looks like Earth is gonna go for a standard opening, MG into Grenadiers. This opening works on pretty much any map in any kind of game, so there's really no problem with it. You really need the MG early game to stop the tide of riflemen. Though it looks like Crazy Hamster did go for a second rear echelon squad for more capping power and also slightly reduced bleeding. Though I do not agree that much with this. I can see why he would, use this kind of tactic, especially on CoH2 where you need lots of capping power all over the map because the map is very spread out. So the first engagement is going to be between the rear echelons and the Pioneers. Pioneers are going to be able to gain the heavy cover because the rear echelons were not able to close the distance to the cover in time to get some shots in at long range. And at close range, the Pioneers would have won the fight anyway. They keep at long range, but since they are in no cover, they will not be able to withstand even the Pioneers for all that long, and they will retreat off the field. Well, not off the field, they're going to go and cap the VP. At the same time, riflemen reinforcements are coming in, and some nice wire to try and prevent the Americans from using this tractor as cover. They were unfortunately stopped by the riflemen. Nice of Earth to notice that his combat engineers were getting shot at while they were building, and immediately cancelled and started taking cover. Because of course you're going to take a lot more damage when they're building. So he's going to be able to take control of his fuel point. Americans already have their fuel point. The second rear echelon is nicely capping the munitions on the road. And the MG was set up in this very defensive house, guarding the strategic point outside of his base. Mostly because he wanted to prevent any kind of American push for the center VP and the cutoff to flank any kind of forces here. He was able to reposition after seeing that no such push was coming, and took some shots at these riflemen, but didn't manage to suppress them or inflict any losses. So he's going to reposition it into the center and get the church. I agree with the move. You really want to, get some control over the center of the map, because right now in the north, things aren't going too well. He was able to half the squad, take out half the rear echelons and force them to retreat, but he's got a rifleman squad to contend with. And the way it was moving, the MG was not going to be of any help against that. So it's like he's going to try to flank around with the Pioneers, but nice Crazy Hamster. Sorry, I played against the Space Hamster, so I'm getting really confused. Yeah, he was able to notice the Pioneers flanking and focus fire them with his riflemen, taking down a few models and managing to retreat pretty much unscathed. Yeah, he pretty much has the entire control of the south of the map, which is really good. You want, at this point, as Americans, you want to be pressing whatever advantage you have early game as much as possible. So at this point, the control of the south of the map could be pretty good in trying to get some flanking maneuvers on this area. Try and maybe take control of the house and, get the MG out of the central church, because you really want to take control of the center and go for the cutoff at this point. Same time, Earth, he did have some problems with capping earlier, but looks like he has stabilized the situation. He does have a nice foothold in the north, and he has complete control of the center thanks to the church. So he's in a pretty good spot and can go pretty much either way right now. He is going for a phase 1, which is good, because you don't want to fall behind in tech to the Americans and get surprised by light vehicles. Possibly a flame half-track would be a good idea because of the amount of floating munitions that he has, or also perhaps a scout car 222 into a pack could also be really good, because he does have enough infantry at this point. He has 3 Grenadiers, he's building a 4th Grenadier squad. CoH2 map with very long range engagements, so 4 Grenadiers should be sufficient at handling the support of an MG should be sufficient at handling whatever American infantry, because of their superiority at long range. Nice usage of cover in the center, though at this point he's probably going to have the squad retreat because it's very low health. Even these riflemen from relatively close distance, actually they will be forced to retreat by the 2nd Grenadier squad, and he should really consider getting out a medic bunker as soon as possible because of his infantry. His infantry units are getting really low on HP. Don't want to be losing models for no reason when you could just build a medic bunker and replace and heal up. So he is going to go for the cutoff move. That's a really good idea. He sees the opening, he can do it, so why not? It might also draw some American infantry into the center where the MG can force them back into the base, just like these rear echelons. And he will go for his tier 2 and his medic bunker, so I completely agree with both of those decisions. He really needs both those buildings up and running as soon as possible. So right now the Americans are in a pretty shitty spot because they are pretty much boxed into the base by the MG/Grenadier cutoff. And if these LMG Grenadiers are able to disengage themselves from this Rifleman squad, maybe by taking them out, they actually placed a mine, the Rifleman, because Crazy Hamster did go Heavy Cavalry Company, so he does have access to Rifleman field defenses. I'm not sure if Earth noticed that he was placing a mine. If he did, he should rifle grenade the mine as soon as possible, or maybe wait for one of his Pioneers to upgrade with Minesweepers. Looks like he didn't notice, but his Pioneers will trigger the mine and not die, so that's a pretty light price for taking out the mine. And yeah, basically the point is that he really needs to keep control of his cutoff because he's been forced onto the defensive and he needs to get out some kind of light vehicle as soon as possible. He did go for a lieutenant. I wasn't able to talk about technique choices or doctrines that much because there's been quite a bit of engagements going on. Lieutenant tech, I do not agree with this. He really needed a Stuart in this kind of situation, and you know, with the lieutenant, he really lacks the early game punching power of the Stuart. Especially because he already had quite a bit of infantry, and the lieutenant tier will not help him out all that much. So it looks like the lieutenant is going to be sent to the top of the map to try and, you know, get control of some territory. But he takes the VP, but he's forced back by these Grenadiers. Grenadiers should retreat because they're very low HP and they should be healed up after they finish capping the point, which I am sure he will do. In the center, this rear echelon looks like it's being forgotten about and will die, so nice pickup. First wipe of the game. Always want to be wiping things even though it's only a rear echelon. It's still really good. At the same time, yeah, now he's gonna go for a captain. Looks like he went the lieutenant only to beef up his infantry with, you know, the lieutenant squad. I do not agree with the decision because he really needed the Stuart out as soon as possible. Now Earth will be able to get a pack. And if he didn't go for the detour lieutenant, he would already have a Stuart out on the field, so he would have been able to get some pressure down on the map, maybe take out the MG, force it out of the house, which is really what he needs right now to get control of the center, to get some more space to maneuver. Nice grenade is going to go down on the Grenadiers. He didn't notice though and was able to retreat. We'll be able to regain control of the cutoff finally and get some fuel income going. So Heavy Cavalry Company, well, not quite as powerful as the Tactical Support Company with the Calliope. It's still a really, really good doctrine in pretty much any type of game. 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, any map. Because the Pershing can be a really good, both a really good damage soaker and an excellent flanker for maps like this, where you can flank really easily. Well, maybe not an excellent damage soaker, but definitely the best that the Americans have. Nice dodging of the rifle grenade, noticing just in time that the Grenadiers were approaching and trying to sneak in the rifle grenade wipe on his rifleman. So definitely some decent micro. Despite the loss of one rear echelon squad, he is still preserving most of his infantry force, which is really important as Americans. So he did go for an AT gun, 57mm. Completely agree with the decision. You should be expecting some kind of armor or light vehicle out as soon as possible from an enemy that, you know, has a bit of a fuel superiority on you. So definitely preparing yourself for it never hurts, especially as he does have a lot of manpower. So even after buying the AT gun, he does have a lot of manpower. The Grenadiers will be caught in no cover, and the grenade will deal some minor damage to them. It was well aimed, but the Grenadier squad was very spread out, so the damage ended up being minor. At the same time, we have a lot of engagements going on in the north, and the Americans are actually coming out fairly on top in the north, thanks to some nice positioning of the rear echelons in this house. He was able to deny the MG42 access to the northern side of the map almost entirely, so the MG42 has been forced out of the house over here, the church, by a nice lieutenant flank, and now it cannot really get back into a position where it can impact the fight in the top as much. So the top side of the map has fallen to the Americans for a little while, but the Grenadiers were able to regain the control thanks to their excellent long-range damage with LMGs, and were able to recap the fuel point. So not that much of a loss for the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht was able to retreat the MG42 at Bet 2, just barely not dying, which is really important, because that Vet 2 MG is going to be really useful at keeping control of the riflemen, especially in the later game. Once they start to get some VARs going, you really want to control them as much as possible, prevent them from getting in close range with your Grenadiers. Nice mine, gonna take out almost the entire squad of Grenadiers. Panzer Grenadiers are on the field now. I agree with the decision just because he did have a lot of manpower saved up, so a Panzer Grenadier squad to keep control of some of the American infantry, just to, extra close range damage is really useful. At the same time, he really does need to get up some heavy armor on the field as soon as possible. He could be going for a phase 3 directly and try to get a Panzerwerfer out on the field, which could work out. Panzerwerfer into Panther would be a pretty good idea, but at the same time, going for the quick tier 3 into an Ostwind or a Panzer IV can also work out. It really depends also on the doctrine selection, because if he's going to go Lightning War, then he can afford to, get the tier 3 and start working on a medium tank just to bridge the gap to the Tiger. But if he decides to go mobile defense, I think it's really unlikely that he's going to go Ostruppen after 12 minutes. Ostruppen is one of those doctrines that you pick immediately when the game begins. Nice grenade. It was actually aimed at the back door of the house, anticipating a, dodge, which happened, but at the same time, he was able to get back into the house just in time. So that's definitely some very good micro from both players. Panzer Grenadiers are going to go in the middle to try and capture the cutoff point, but at the same time, we have the Steward on the field, so that can do some nice counter-harassment. Grenadiers will be forced away, and the other Grenadier squad that takes their place is also going to be decimated by lots and lots of rifleman fire from 2 squads, and more grenades. Lots of munitions being spent on grenades for Crazy Hamster. I don't really agree. At the same time, the Steward did manage to take out the Panzer Grenadiers and force them to retreat. Only 1 model lost though. Again, as I said, grenades, while they can be useful, I don't think using all those grenades in place of perhaps getting mines or maybe upgrading a Ranger squad, which you didn't even buy, or maybe getting some VARs would have been a better idea than to use all those grenades. Because at this point, you should have realized that Earth has really been on point with his micro right now, so he's not gonna get fooled by grenades and lose that many squads to them. He could use the AT gun to recap the cutoff. He should be using the AT gun to recap the cutoff. One thing that people always forget is that AT guns and mortars can cap, and well, maybe they do not forget it, but they definitely forget about using it. Grenadier squad with LMG almost gets wiped by the Thompson from the captain. That would have been really bad for Earth. He does have 4 Grenadier squads up, and almost all of them, actually no, all of them, he's upgrading the last one right now. All of them have LMGs, so that will definitely give him a pretty big edge in infantry, despite the numerical superiority of the American squads. That is, of course, if you can get some superior positioning, which right now he doesn't have, because the lieutenant will be able to get into the church, and he only has light cover, which is also directionally negated by the church, because it's being shot from the top. There's no cover from there, and the rifleman will be able to flank from the south and throw a grenade. I think he's noticing. Yes, he is noticing. He should just probably retreat these 2 guys, because they're just taking very unnecessary losses and leaving him manpower-wise quite a bit. So at the same time, the Americans were able to launch a successful attack into the center, and they were able to take control of the munitions point and the all key house. The captain was forced back by the Panzer Grenadiers, not after decapping the fuel point though, so that's definitely good, stemming the fuel income of the Wehrmacht. Really, really important. Pack gun, gonna be able to seize upon the nice Panzerfaust that he was able to get from the Stuart overextending and nicely capitalizing on it and taking it out with also AP rounds from his MG42. Always remember that when a vehicle is low, especially light vehicles like Stuart's. Stuart is a light tank, but he's still very vulnerable to those incendiary armor-piercing rounds from the Ved 1. So yeah, you can definitely use these to finish off retreating vehicles that are low on HP, that maybe cannot be reached by your pack, or that your pack has a weird shot on. Especially in this situation, the pack had the wall in front of it and also the Panzer IV wreckage, especially, and it was also a maximum range, so there was a high chance that it would have missed. So definitely good use of the incendiary armor-piercing rounds from the MG. So at this point, it's starting to grow into stalemate, which favors the Wehrmacht in the long term because of their general superiority in the late game, but Crazy Hamster is heavy cavalry company, so he will be able to field the Pershing, and the game will likely be decided by how well he can use the Pershing, if he can get to that point. If he can get to that point and use the Pershing correctly, then he will be able to deal with whatever the Germans bring out against them and probably take the game. The VP situation is completely even, so at this point it's gonna come down to who wins the late game engagements and manages to wipe out a lot of the opponent squads, because that's basically what it comes down to after a while when the VP situation is completely even like this. Right now the Germans have a bit of a lack of wiping tools. They mostly have engagement winning tools like Grenadiers with LMGs and suppression, but at the same time now we have a Panzer IV on the field and everything will change, because the Panzer IV can chase down squads very, very effectively and can be very dangerous against infantry, getting some nice one-shots sometimes, and yeah, being very aggravating in general. At the same time, the Americans do field a pack howitzer. He has had the pack howitzer for about a minute. He only has 1 kill, but in this situation it can definitely help when the enemy is being a little defensive, as it will definitely have the time and perhaps one day accuracy if it can vet up to deal lots of damage to buildings and support weapons and grenadier squads alike. Panzer Grenadiers were able to force back the riflemen from the munitions point along with the Panzer IV support. Definitely good to see. Right now Earth is lacking in munitions income, as the Americans have had control of both the munitions points for the last 5 minutes of the game, so definitely good. That's gonna also slow down the side of mines, which have been really, really annoying for the Germans. Definitely a very big danger to the Panzer IV, these mines. Perhaps instead of another Panzer Grenadier squad or another pack, also another Pioneer squad would be a really good idea, because a second set of minesweepers could be really useful to them. Crazy Hamster is saving up for the Pershing, and he is quite close to it. He only needs 3 more command points, which in these very lethal late game engagements will come fairly quickly. Nicely taking control of the mid-house from Earth. It will definitely help him out getting some vision on the field, as of course scanning your units in houses gives you lots of vision, lots more vision than they normally would give you. So definitely that will help him in seeing whatever the Americans have in the center and also keep control of it because of these LMG Grenadiers. At the same time, he will be grenaded and pack howitzered, so this house will not be able to provide as much cover for his infantry as he might like. At the same time, in the north, the engagements are going pretty badly for the Americans. They are not able to make any headway against the Grenadiers, but they are able to sneak into the center and try to take out Panzer IV with an AT grenade, but it didn't work out. He wasn't able to get the AT grenade off. The Panzer IV is at an HP level that an AT grenade would damage the engine. Unfortunately, the Americans don't really have anything to follow up on it. You know, we have an AT gun for AT along with the captain, and that really will not work in following up on an AT grenade. He really needs a medium tank or the Pershing to do that. The Pershing will be on the field probably in about 5 or 6 minutes, considering the command point situation. He could consider going for a major just to have the ability to produce a Jackson in case he needs it later, but in my opinion it is safer to just wait for the Pershing. At the same time, Earth looks like he forgot about his Panzer IV sitting with, you know, rear armor facing the captain in the building, so that was really good damage coming out of the captain. Getting it up to vet free and taking the Panzer IV out of the fight for a while because there's only one Pioneer squad available to repair, and the repair speed of the one Pioneer squad will not be sufficient to get the Panzer IV back onto the field in the time that Earth would like it to. So that allows the Americans to push up with their infantry and take control of the north a little bit, you know, in a way that they wouldn't have been able to if the Panzer IV would still be there. So some nice usage of the infantry even in the late game. It is really a shame at this point that he doesn't get some VARs going on his riflemen, and now he's making what I think is a mistake. He's getting another rifleman squad and a ranger squad. That will leave him pretty dry on the manpower situation. That will also increase the bleeding he gets from just fighting a lot, because riflemen bleed very heavily. They are 28 manpower to reinforce, and I believe rangers are also 28. They might be different though. They might be a little more. They might be 30 or something. So yeah, he is gonna get into a lot of lethal engagements, especially with this Ostwind coming up. He's gonna get into a lot of very lethal engagements and lose a lot of manpower, and that will delay the Pershing by another 2 or 3 minutes. So we're gonna look at a 27 to 28 minute Pershing if this keeps up, and that will not do. He does have only an Ostwind and a Panzer IV to contend with in terms of armor, but at this point the Germans have had a steady fuel income for a long time, so, and I doubt that this will change anytime soon. So what Earth really needs to do at this point is just go Lightning War, partially because of the Tiger and also partially because of relief infantry super close air support, which will help him out winning late game engagements and replenishing his infantry with Ostrupper. And yeah, if he does that, he will have the Tiger pretty much the same time that the Pershing comes on the field, just because of the manpower bleed that will be inflicted on the Americans. Vet-free rear echelons are able to deal some heavy damage along with this vet-2 rifleman to the Panzer Grenadiers. I don't think they will be able to wipe it, especially since this rifleman squad is the new one with no vet, so they will not be able to do all that much damage. And the Rangers are sitting in the base, not even being upgraded, so that's definitely a mistake, honestly. Ostwind makes its appearance in the north, supported by minesweepers. Definitely really good push. Gonna force back all the American infantry that was there, and really the Americans cannot really deal with the Ostwind and the Panzer IV. The AT gun is still on the field, but it hasn't been moved in a long time. It should really be used more to support the infantry. And the Ostwind will start to open up on the Rangers, doing heavy damage on this very expensive unit. There is a flank coming in from the north, but they are all in negative cover, and so they will be decimated by the Grenadiers and the Ostwind. Ostwind will take a damage engine from an AT grenade, but at the same time taking heavy damage from the captain. If the AT gun had been moved up to like here, right now the Ostwind would be in really big trouble. Unfortunately, the AT grenade did not seem to go off. Ostwind was able to back away in time, and as you can see, the Ostwind is already up to 5 kills, doing heavy damage on the American units. And if the American player hadn't called in those Rangers, right now he would have the Pershing and would be in a way better position. Of course, the Germans do have the counter to the Pershing, these 2 packs. Packs are really good against Pershing, especially after they get Vet 1, because they are able to pretty reliably penetrate the armor, and when the stun comes in, yeah, the stun is really long, and with 2 packs shooting at a Pershing that's stunned, he will be able to take it out very quickly. So he does manage to get a nice raid going into the base, and takes out the ambulance and a couple of infantry. So the Ostwind already proven its worth as a really good counter to the American blobbing. And that's why really the Americans would have needed that Pershing instead of the extra infantry, just to keep at bay the German armor and let the American infantry do the work. So he did manage to get a 25-minute Pershing because of him being very cautious with his infantry. But him being very cautious with his infantry has, you know, pretty much meant that he has no map control at this point. He still has a fuel point, but he has completely lost all the VPs, and now he's triple capped and he's dropping VPs very heavily. So this VP situation, which was still fairly even, is right now declining very rapidly for the Americans. As soon as Earth sees the Pershing, he immediately backpedals the Austrian into safety, into the, you know, arms of the packs that are being repositioned as soon as possible. So that's definitely good. And he's using the Bloodskin, which means I hate him, because fuck that Bloodskin, I hate it. Everyone hates it. You should never, you know, use it. So now I hope he loses just because he has the Bloodskin. Fuck him. So Riflemen are in a pretty bad situation right now, being shot at by the Panzer IV, and the Pershing will walk into a work of hurt with packs. Only one pack is able to shoot him because of the slightly weird arcs. And a grenade actually will come under the packs and deal probably heavy damage. Actually, no. It did nothing. Honestly, I have no idea why it did nothing. It should have definitely, maybe not wiped both of the packs, but definitely dealt heavy damage. They were all clumped up very heavily. But hey, what can you do? In the center, the MG is still vet 2, but it's definitely been pretty good at holding the center of the map and preventing any kind of flanks coming in from the south. South, which the Grenadiers were able to completely cap, except for this one point. And they were able to take the second fuel point. Unfortunately, it is cut off. Actually, no, it isn't cut off, so he will get some extra fuel income. He did go for Lightning War, which is really good, especially because the super close air support will... Oh my god, that wipe. Super close air support will be able to take out the Pershing fairly easily. It does a lot of damage to the Pershing, and that vet-free Grenadier squad that was here gets wiped by a pack howitzer shot. So that's a definitely very big loss. Vet-free Grenadiers with LMGs are very valuable in the late game. He will replace the squad, but he will not be able to replace the vet anytime soon. And that's definitely bad when the Americans are fielding this much infantry. Though, as you can see, he just simply cannot afford to reinforce all his units, especially not as his ambulance is dead, so he will take even more bleed. 57mm AT gun will be decrewed by the Panzer Grenadiers, which are up to vet 3. Panzer Grenadiers will be forced away by the Pershing, but pack guns are moving up to shoot at the Pershing. As you can see, the Pershing is really vulnerable to packs, and you need to be very, very careful when you use it to, you know, not stay in range of packs for too long. And he's making a mistake right now. He's just sitting the Pershing here when he should have retreated to the base to heal it up. But right now he is sitting in a really bad spot, and the packs will flank him along with the support of the Panzer IV. Now his retreat into the base is completely cut off by the packs. Lucky bounce on the Pershing will pretty much save it for now. Panzer IV is trying to chase, but I don't think it's a really good idea. He might be able to take it out, but at the very definitely risking as Panzer IV with this maneuver. At the same time, an MG is being used to hold the south, which was recaptured by the Americans, and the Americans were also able to decap the fuel point and take control of the fuel point for themselves. But this rifleman squad with the bazookas that was taken out. And yeah, he actually upgraded weapon racks, but he just doesn't want to upgrade BARs for some reason, and I don't understand why. Because he really needs that BAR, boost. The German infantry force was greatly reduced. It used to be lot 4 vetted grenadiers with LMGs. It's only now 3 grenadiers with LMGs, and only 1 is vetted at vet 3. And he's going to use it to remand the pack, so it's not going to be in the fight for a while. So the situation isn't that terrible for the Americans, but it is still pretty bad. Also, these pioneers aren't capping. I'm assuming he's repairing on the point because he wanted to cap, but that's kind of useless because the pioneers decided to take the route, outside the point. So that's pretty bad for him. He is going to go for another MG42 with his excess manpower. I agree with the idea, but needs to be really careful to not buy units and still have enough top cap for the Tiger. He really needs to be careful to do that. And I agree with the MG because at this point, like I said, his infantry force has thinned out a bit, so he does need a little bit of replacement. And in the late game, an MG is just perfect for that. because it can be really useful even without the vet. So the Rangers really been a really terrible investment for the Americans. They haven't really been able to do anything. They will flank the MG and possibly throw a grenade on it, but the MG will be able to retreat safely, and the Panzer IV will likely chase down the squad. He did cancel. No, he is replacing his Panzer Grenadiers that died. So the vet-free Panzer Grenadiers that died. It was a really bad loss for him. I missed it. It was about over here. It was here in the north. Looks like they ate a grenade and then got shot up by a bunch of riflemen, which is a really bad loss for him because those vet-free Panzer Grenadiers were very important for him to just counter any kind of flanks. So it looks like he will switch around and use the green MG42 to try and control the Rangers. Panzer IV will be able to take out most of the captain squad in one hit, but the captain does still have the bazookas, so they will be able to inflict heavy damage on the Panzer IV, force it away, and force some grenadiers to come and rescue Panzer IV, be diverted from the fight in the north. He will be able to take out the captain though, so that's a really good wipe. This infantry situation, the Americans have lost 2 rifleman squads, all vetted, one with bazookas as well. So that's definitely, it's been going worse for the Americans, really, after that wipe with the pack howitzer. Things have been going a little downhill for them, and it's mostly because of the fact that he overinvested into infantry, and misused the skirmishing a little bit. But he still has it alive, so if you can still make use of it a little bit better now, he can maybe control the Tiger, maybe, scrape out a few wipes and go for the win. But the chances of that happening are looking pretty grim at this point. So he also lost his 57mm AT gun. I do not know where though. It was over here for the entirety of the match, but at this point I just cannot seem to find it. At this point, looks like Earth will be focusing on recapturing the south. He does have the north held by mines, packs, and the Ostwind, so that's definitely fairly safe. So the Pershing is going into the base and taking out the Panzer IV, but the Tiger is on the field, so that's a pretty decent replacement. And he did go very dangerously close to a Panzerfaust, but he wasn't penetrated by the shots of the Panzer IV / Tiger missed, which was very lucky for him. Unfortunately for the Pershing, he is backing up into the pack wall, which was very nicely positioned in ambush behind this central house, and also a Panzer Grenadier squad with Shreks. Tiger will be able to get a nasty shot from maximum range, taking out the main gun, and now he is able to close the distance. It misses a shot, but at the same time, the Panzer Grenadiers with Shreks will be able to finish off the Pershing, and I think that's GG. There's the triple cap going. The Allies don't really have that many VPs left, and yeah, here comes the GG in the surrender. Really good final engagement from Earth. Very nice positioning of the packs. Definitely secured a kill on the Pershing. He would have still been able to keep the Pershing, held up thanks to the Tiger had it escaped, but that pretty much sealed the deal on the game. He could have waited for a second Pershing, but at this point, it really wasn't. It wasn't gonna go anywhere. The Germans had too many vetted units still on the field, and the Americans had lost a little too much, and also too much map control. The VPs were pretty much entirely in favor of the Germans, and they were gonna tick down in a couple minutes. So yeah, I want to thank Earth for sending in the replay. I already pretty much talked about what the Americans could have done differently. What Earth could have done differently, he could have gone for a flame half-track a little bit earlier in the game, and it would have helped him out. The pack was a little late, but it worked out, so that's okay. Yeah, the medical bunker was also a little late, but that can be delayed for a long time, so that's no problem. And I'm not sure about the Ostwind. The Ostwind it did pay off in the end, but it might have not paid off had the Americans gone for the Pershing. It would have been pretty much a piece of junk and useless unless really well microed. So yeah, it was a risky move, delaying the Tiger to get the Ostwind, but it worked out in the end. And also delayed doctrine selection. I don't really agree with that because of the fact that he could have used relief infantry and close air support a little bit earlier in the game, as well as maybe G43s, but G43s are inferior to LMGs on Colonia Firma because the map is very long range, and at long range the LMGs are still better. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something, and I'll see you soon.